Stop what you're doing right now. Stop throwing money away on expensive home decor because I want to show you how I just turned $13 worth of thrift store junk into Pottery Barn items. Let me show you how. In today's video, DIY, thrifting, and creating charm. So I found this lamp base. It's a little bit hideous and it's also very dated. And I've also found the canister. It doesn't match anything in my kitchen alongside with this vase here. Okay, but here's the secret. I have a stack of blue and white napkins and a bottle of Mod Podge, and I have a vision that I think that I can use this to make it into something a lot more beautiful. So, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, first, before you get started on anything, give them a good old rinse out, make sure there is no residue or anything on it, clean them up, wipe them dry, or even make sure you put them out in the sun, which is what I tend to do. I'm going to use some white paint and I am going to give it 2 coats. So make sure you stir up your paint before you get started because sometimes it can separate, especially if you left it a long time without using it. And I'm going to be using 2 brushes. All right. Now here I am giving it my first coat. Be mindful that it's not going to look anything special at this point. All right, so just bear that in mind. Add your first coat on, and then you need to let it dry. Let it dry properly. Don't add the second one without the first coat drying. So do that for both items. Get into all the nooks and crannies. However, do not do this to the handle. The handle is no need for us to decoupage the handle. All right. Now, I'm just going to show you the 2 items here that I'm painting. However, the lamp, because the background is white, I am not going to do anything to it. All right, so let's move on to the decoupage now. So I have some blue and white napkins, which I think is beautiful to use. You can use green and white if you like to, but I think blue and white is top end and is very much in season at this point. Now, the paper here, the napkins here, it is single ply. All right. Bear that in mind. It's for a reason. You can use double ply, but because I've bought single ply, it eliminates a step of actually peeling it back. As you can see, my lamp here is beautiful white. Remember, it doesn't have to be neat and tidy as long as it's covered up all of the background color it originally had in. So I'm taking my Mod Podge. I am not bothered about using it, whether it's one, because the surface is just going to be, taken care of. So the Mod Podge doesn't have to be one that you eat. So when I say one of the eat, it doesn't have to be one of the edible Mod Podge. So we're not placing anything on top of it. So using your pinking shears, I am going to cut. You can tear, but I do like the effect that the pinking shears give it. So I'm going to just be using my bowl, add the Mod Podge in, and I'm going to simply start painting. It's as simple as that. All right. I'm going to use 2 brushes here. What I am going to do is use 1 brush to add the Mod Podge onto the vase. And I'm simply going to do small areas at a time. I am working outside, so it's very likely the Mod Podge is going to dry very quickly. So just take your time and do smaller areas at a time. So what I'm going to do here is just add on the paper. I've already cut what I want. And now let me say this, try not to use the edge, okay? Where you see the straight edge, I am trimming it away because I want it to be jagged. Now you can cut out the design that you want, or you can just use the paper as is. So what I intend to do is to just cut out like an oblong shape and then stick it onto the area that I just literally added the Mod Podge into. And I'm simply going to start to the edge at the top there because I want the jagged edge from that serrated cut to fold over nicely. That is simply what I'm doing here. So nothing too strenuous, nothing too difficult. And then I am just going to use a little bit of Mod Podge right on top just to make sure that each jagged edge stays down. Now on the curve here, you can actually see I'm lifting it up because I wanted to go into every nook and cranny nice and easy. Now, if you think there's an area where you haven't added any of the paper, then the glue, just lift it up and add it. And that's simply it, basically. Also, if you're wondering why I've got the other brush, And I'll show you in a second. So just remember, if there is a curve on your jug, you will possibly need to tear the paper so that it sits nicely. It fits into that area nice and easy. Now, be warned that you may get a little bit of pleats, but this is where the dry brush comes in. All right, so I'm just tearing it off here now so that it fits into it nicely in that curve there and just lay it down. Simple as that. It's very easy, fun project. I reckon you're going to enjoy doing this. So rather than using your hands, you can use your dry brush. Now, if you find that there's any edges that doesn't stick up, add a little bit of the Mod Podge, and I mean a very little bit, and use the dry brush now to just lightly spread it over it. What you do not want to do is to take loads of Mod Podge and use it all over. I do find it wrinkles paper, so I just like to use a dry brush to help smoothen it out to eliminate any creases. So just take your time and do this nice and gently. Okay, what I need you to bear in mind is once you have completed this, it is very important that you let it dry completely in the sun. If not, just let it dry overnight. I'm going to use some clear gloss and I'm going to spray it all over. When you are spraying, spray from a distance, not close up. You don't want it to be pouring over it. You're just looking for a light glaze. Once you're done with that, again, let it dry in the sun. Go back and have a look at it. Just make sure that each area is glazed nicely. Now, let me show you the before and after. So here is where it started. As you could see, nothing really fantastic, just boring. As you reminded as well of the canister and the vase, and here is the end result. You have instantly given a new life and a new outlook worth so much more than what you actually paid for it. And here they are, sitting in my kitchen, looking like they belong in a creative, beautiful country decor. So I cannot get over the texture. That napkin absorbed right into the surface, and now it just looks like it's a hand painted ceramic item. The lamp base went from that thrift store reject to an heirloom piece. The canister, now it holds a beautiful scented candle and upscale that area. And the best part is, total cost for all three projects was just $13. The satisfaction, totally priceless. So the next time you're at the thrift store, Stop walking past the ugly lamp section or even that ugly jug or canister. Look at the shape of every item, not just the color. Grab some napkins of any kind that makes you happy and some Mod Podge and make something beautiful. Well, if you try this, let me know. Tag me on my Instagram. I'd love to see your project. So don't forget to smash that like button, leave me a comment down below, and keep turning items from $13 to $300 Pottery Barn style. All right, guys. See you in the next video. Bye for now. Happy thrifting.